Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Rocketeers of all ages, welcome back to the Bar Down Podcast. I am your host, Vex. I'm joined here by Marvel Man, who is off face cam tonight. Marvel, give him a what's up.
What's going on, guys?
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys are as excited as I am about the RLCS Worlds happening out in Texas this week. Today, we had some Worlds Group's Day 3 recap to do, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Our first game of the day was between Semper Esports and Moist Esports. This series was actually a clean sweep with Moist 4-0ing Semper. Marvel Man, let me know, what were some of your thoughts about this game tonight?
It was devastating to watch this happen to Semper. Moist, they're a great team. They're actually just phenomenal. And I think even around game 3 or 4, they were literally acting like it was free play. They were just going for crazy stuff. They were just goofing around. They really just kind of had them in a blender, clicked the button, and threw them in the trash. They absolutely dominated. Semper is kind of sad to see. I heard that there was some illness maybe on their part, which we'll be talking about later. But maybe that had something to do with it. But it's a real tough loss for Semper.
Yeah, absolutely. A tough one indeed for the boys of Semper Esports, as we're seeing the highlights roll in the background. They were oh so close in game number 1, but unfortunately after that it never really got much closer. Simply put, Moist, just the better team, the faster roster, the more mechanical roster, and gave us the result we expected. We honestly predicted Moist in 6 because Semper seemed to be trending in the right direction, but as we're going to talk about in a little bit, Semper is actually not trending in the right direction, and that's a bit of a poor joke because when you hear about what's happening, it's going to be a little bit unfortunate to hear. But nevertheless, we're going to move right along and talk about our next matchup of the day, which was FaZe Clan versus Team Falcons. Marvel Man, what were some of your thoughts on this matchup?
I'd rather not think about this matchup. No, I'm just kidding. It was honestly really sad. Here on the podcast, we are a advocate for Team Falcons, and they just they didn't play bad. Let's get that out there first. I don't think that they played bad at all. I do think they can play better. I think I've seen some better gameplay out of them, but I don't think they played bad at all. I think they played very consistent, very just to the point of how they usually play, and that's, you can't really do more than that. But FaZe Clan was an absolute wall. It was crazy. Falcons, they could not hit a single thing on them. And I've never seen FaZe Clan ever play this good. So, for them to turn it up and show the Falcons what they got, I guess they deserve the win.
Yeah, FaZe Clan, normally not known for their defense whatsoever. Actually known as being one of the weak points of their game. For FaZe Clan to come out today and played that defensive performance, we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, so I don't want to go too in-depth with it, but this was one of the most impressive feats of Rocket League I think I have ever seen. And again, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but I don't think the way FaZe is playing I don't think you can count on that every single game, because what they did today to Team Falcons was truly special, and I don't think can be replicated. To stop as many shots as they did and make the Falcons offense look inept, which is something no team in the world has ever done before. It truly speaks to FaZe Clan's plan and their execution of that plan out on the field today. Really just an incredible defensive performance, and we're going to cover that just in a little bit. But in the meantime, before we get there, we have a few other games to cover. Next up was Furia versus G2 Esports, or sorry, I forgot to say, FaZe Clan swept Team Falcons. Want to make sure I get that in there. But next was G2 versus Furia, and this was a thrilling series, going 6 games with G2 taking it with a final score of 4-2. Marvel Man, your thoughts?
Furia is a great team. Me personally, I know yesterday while doing predictions, I was rooting for Furia. You had G2. I think I said something along the lines of I wouldn't be surprised if G2 did go in there and get the win. Furia is a great team. Nonetheless, they fought hard, they played hard, but G2 definitely deserved the win on this game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a hard-fought series, and it looked like during Game 6, like Furia was going to make the comeback. They were going to force a Game 7, a lot of overtime action, a lot of overtimes. These two teams very neck and neck, and Furia kind of keeping this ascension that they've had going ever really since Winter Major, when it looked like they were a team that could take a couple games to then Spring Major. Hey, this is a real team that can contend for a championship. Maybe isn't there to win one yet, but they're a contender, you know, if things go right. And then in Gamers 8, actually taking down the championship, they've really completed this ascension now where they are a team to be feared. They are a championship caliber team capable of winning this world championship. And if you don't think so, you're lying to yourself. Simply put, they're one of the best teams on the planet, led by the all-star cast of Card, Kaio, and Jans, who arguably is the best ones player in the world. I would put TRK ahead of him, but really 1-2 on my list is TRK and Jans. So truly some tremendous players, and I really look for Fury to rebound. Their matchup is going to be either the Club or Dignitas, two very strong teams. I would love to see the Club because that'd be fun. A South America versus South America matchup would be an absolute blast, especially with how informed the Club looks. But I think no matter who it is, Fury is going to take it really with relative ease. But moving right along, we have one more game to cover, and that was, of course, Version 1 versus Team BDS. Team BDS sweeping Version 1. Man, did not see that one coming. Marvel, how about you?
I in fact saw it coming. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I did. I predicted yesterday that BDS won. That was another one that we disputed on. BDS is a solid team. I knew Version 1 was also solid. They have some good play styles going on their end. And definitely beating NRG on day 1 of the Worlds was definitely a feat for them. But I don't know. I felt something was up with BDS. I know that they have the spark in them. And they came out and they ignited the fire. Let's get the words right. And so BDS, real proud of them. They got the win on this Version 1. Excited how they excited to see where they go. Yeah, I think that's it. I was gonna see who they play next, but I'm taking a second to pull it up. But yeah, no, good job for BDS.
Yeah, BDS really, even though BDS swept Version 1 and FaZe swept Falcons, Falcons played a great game today. And again, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I want to make that clear. That was a sweep where Falcons looked competent, FaZe was just that good. The BDS Version 1 game, Version 1 looked inferior. They looked like a team that had no business being out there and didn't really belong on the same field with BDS. BDS truly looking in form, should be terrifying for every single team still left in this tournament because, man, they are looking back. Fall Major / RLCS X form looking truly terrifying with Seiko. Finally, everyone was waiting for that super team to take off, and it seems now it's finally starting to. But now that we've having discussed all of our games, it is time we discuss some of the things that are maybe not as fun to discuss, and that is, of course, the unfortunate case going down with Semper Esports. If you pay any attention to the Rocket League Esports Twitter, you'll see they put out this post just earlier today at about 8 o'clock Eastern. After reporting feeling unwell, 2 players on the Semper Esports roster were given a COVID-19 test and each returned a positive result. According to the RLCS World Championship Committee, the COVID-19 protocols allow players that test positive to access isolated rooms that are not at the live venue if they are feeling well enough to play. The players in question have chosen to play their matches from isolated rooms while the opposing team will still be competing from the venue. So this poses a number of follow-up questions. Number one, is it still going to be a LAN connection that has no lag? Or is it going to be on the internet in the arena? Because now you're kind of messing with the competitive integrity a little bit for the other team. And as well, are all 3 members and the coach from Semper going to have to isolate due to close contact protocols? So there's still a lot of questions evolving with this, and luckily they're going to have another couple days to resolve it, because tomorrow, Friday, the teams will not be playing its lower quarters only, and then it will be lower semifinals on Saturday. So they will have until Saturday to really figure out and iron out the details, but definitely some questions with regarding this whole situation, how it's going to play out. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Marvel. What are your thoughts on this?
It's devastating to hear that about Semper. You know, they're a solid team, and especially out of the Swiss bracket, to be coming out. They were on top, number 1, right? They had the best record in the Swiss bracket.
They were indeed. They were one of the undefeated teams in the Swiss bracket. Unfortunately, falling to Moist, though, does knock them to the lower bracket.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really hard to hear that, especially with on such a grind and a run that they had within the bracket beforehand, coming to Worlds and then coming here, you know, winning their first game, still on the right track, and then, you know, they get hit by this wall of COVID, and it's really it probably takes a toll on them. And I'm kind of curious to see, you know, it's easy to have your teammates next to you on stage. You know, you make a goal, you get a pat on the shoulder, you make a play that's a little bit rough, you got your coach behind you hyping you up. So it's gonna kind of take a toll on these players, because they're not gonna have that anymore. They're not gonna have their teammates next to them, you know, giving them a sigh of relief, or to hyping them up, or giving them, or even the crowd. They won't have anything. So it's interesting to see where Semper's going to go with this. Wish them the best of luck, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a tough situation to be in. Again, Semper being one of the top teams coming out, you have to wonder how much those ill-feeling effects really impacted them today during their matchup against Moist. Really a tough situation for all involved, and again, first and foremost, we hope the players are feeling well enough to compete, because to my knowledge, I suppose their coach could be a sub, and I'm sure they do have a sub, but I'm not sure if they took them with them to the LAN. So it you know, if you have to have 2 subs, but then the question comes about, well, if 2 players on the team have it, the coach and the third player almost would certainly have picked it up from one of the other 2 players, and they haven't released any names due to medical release violations, so we won't know likely who it is until later in the event, until the players themselves come out and say it, or until we see exactly who is isolated. But it's certainly going to be a weird situation on stage, only having 1 team. And then for the healthy player, will he be out on stage by himself with the coach, or is the coach one of the people who tested positive? You know, so it's a very fluid situation, and be sure to keep your eyes to the RL Esports Twitter for any and all updates, as well as stay tuned to the podcast every single night, because this will be a developing story as we go through this entire situation in the entire World Championships. But the next point we got to talk about is that FaZe versus Falcons game. Marvel Man, was this the greatest defensive performance in the history of RL Esports? And I might be prisoner of the moment by saying that, but I don't think I am. I want to hear your thoughts.
I don't think so in one bit. Or I think it's the greatest defensive play. We're gonna go with that. I misheard your question. Yeah, it was a great defensive go. I think honestly it could have been one of the best, because if we look at how Falcons played against Dignitas, I feel that they were on about the same level in the beginning, but I remember we were talking about it yesterday. We mentioned once Falcons kind of understood their play style, got into it, because you got to think it was their first day of games, they absolutely just swept them. I mean, they had them all over the place, constant pressure, folding them left and right, breaking axles. They absolutely had Dignitas in a pretzel. It was crazy. So we know that they're a solid team. They know how to, get their mechanics, how to make shots, how to maneuver around a well-established team. So for FaZe Clan to come out here, not to mention, I noticed this while watching the game. One of them was rocking the Ecto 1 from Ghostbusters. That threw me off. I mean, like, if that's your car, that's your car. But that's a little weird to be going into a match with the Ecto 1. It definitely caught me off guard. And then for them to go out there and have the absolute wall that they had during that game. Game 4, because they swept them, right? Yeah, Game 4. Wait, did they sweep them?
They did indeed sweep.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, Game 4, 0 seconds left. Falcons passing it around. Almost like a Justin moment from way back when. Falcons puts a dime on the net. Nobody to be seen. Out of nowhere in the corner, bam, like it's a save. And it's like, where did this guy come from? It's almost like they had extra players on the field. It was ridiculous. But I don't know what to say. I don't think Team Falcons played bad. And I mentioned this earlier. I don't think they played bad. I think they played to the extent that I expect them to play. I definitely think they could play probably a little bit better. I've seen them peak before, but it was a straight wall. I don't know. FaZe just went out there and they played really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And here is that 0 second situation. I managed to pull it up in the highlight reel here, where it's an incredible play out of Falcons, an incredible ceiling pass, and AJ just flying out of nowhere to make that save. Really just incredible play out of FaZe Clan. Red Falcons every single play. And I remember sitting there as a viewer, as a watcher, a competitor of Rocket League Esports, thinking, what would I do in this situation? How do you break it down? The double commits and the miscommunication out of Falcons definitely hurt him today. Falcons definitely not on peak form today. But I'm not going to say they played bad, because it was truly the speed and the defense of FaZe Clan, which is why they won. It was just something otherworldly, and it truly felt like FaZe Clan sacrificed like a room of goats to the gods to like give them this super capability of playing defense. It was truly something unmatched, and I'd be hard pressed to find a better defensive performance in any series across RLCS all season, and honestly all time, to stop this high power of an offense as efficiently and effectively as they did. And these weren't easy saves. It wasn't shutting down their offense. They had no good plays whatsoever. They had incredible chances, but it was just the pre-jump saves, the positioning, the just being in the right spot at the right time, kind of almost lucky saves. It was something incredible, and definitely to be commended. But I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's replicatable. I don't think FaZe is going to be playing like this the entire tournament. I don't think they can duplicate this defensive performance. This is the best defense I've ever seen FaZe play. That's easy, bar none, easy question, not even close. All right, that's out of the question. This was the best they've ever played defense team. But I don't think they can replicate the performance today. I just think it was too perfect. It was too good. But if they do replicate it easy, they're going to sweep their way to the championship. They're going to win Worlds. But again, I don't think they're going to be able to play this starch of defense. So I want to hear your thoughts, Marvel. Do you think they can replicate the performance they put up today with defense?
I'm not sure. There's also the question of, is that necessary? Because the team that they'll be going up against next, I believe, is G2, right? Would it be G2? I'm not too sure. But like,
I can check it out for you.
Defense. I'm gonna keep talking while you check that out.
Absolutely.
But defense wins national championships. That's a common statement. Everybody knows that. And I guess if you can't get a shot on, then that's how it works. But you also have to realize that maybe the next team they're going against won't be like that. I did hear say something about how closely FaZe has been watching Falcons. They've been watching their gameplay. They've been watching the way that, they like move as a team, team plays that they have. And so I guess with the research that FaZe Clan has had, maybe gave them the upper hand here. I'm not really too sure. I don't think oh my god, dude, I'm like all over the place. I do not think they can repeat what they did today. What they did today was something, as like you said, just pure luck almost sometimes on some of these saves, just jumping up, hoping you hit it, and it just went your way and you hit it. And so, I think also along with just having a wall of defense, the Falcons were getting frustrated in themselves, because you could see it like in the camera. And so I think that also had a part in it as well, that once game 2 came around and these saves just kept happening, it was to the point of like, what else am I supposed to do? And the Falcons just started to slowly lose their momentum.
Yeah, the Tilt Demons definitely taking over just a little bit against FaZe Clan here today. It's tough when you have so many shots that just are good shots, good effort, good offense, and it's just not finding a way to go into the net. So definitely a situation where that was almost one of our talking points as well, talking about the mental game of Falcons, because after they blew the upper bracket finals to Moist, in the bracket reset, they got blown out of the water 4-0. So the mental game of Falcons has always been a bit of a concern, and it's to be expected with it being, really their first year on the scene as far as competing at RLCS lands with these new divisions, these new regions added. So definitely a situation where that's a mental game where it's got to be learned, but definitely something to keep an eye on as we go forward in the tournament. And just so you know, FaZe Clan will play the winner of version 1 versus either Space Station or Endpoint. Space Station Endpoint play tomorrow in the lower quarters, and the winner of that will play version 1 on Saturday in the lower semis. And the winner of that one will play FaZe Clan in round 1 of the playoffs, which if it's version 1, which is what I would pick out of those three, I think version 1 might take FaZe Clan outright. I don't think FaZe Clan will even get a win in the playoffs if that happens. Gonna be honest. But that leads us kind of into our last point here, Marvel Man. We got to pick these lower quarterfinal matchups, and the first one on the docket for tomorrow is going to be the Club versus Team Dignitas. Marvel, what are your thoughts, Club versus Dig?
It's getting to the point to where these teams keep seeing each other. They're in the peripheral of each other, and the Club and Dignitas, I'm pretty sure they played in the Swiss, did they not?
I'm not entirely sure. I can check that out for you though.
I don't think they did, but it's crossed my mind. I feel like they did. I'm not too sure. Maybe it might have been Optic. I'm not sure.
Dignitas did not play the Club.
Okay,
No.
so this meaning that they've never seen each other, but they've heard of each other, and they're both really great teams. The Club going up against FaZe Clan yesterday was almost a feat for them. They almost came out and won. Technical difficulties kind of killed the momentum a little bit. So it's tough, but I think if the Club could get some more momentum, they might be able to get it past Dignitas. But let's not exclude Dignitas. They're a fast team. They play strong. They're aggressive. They are just out there, and they know it. So it's like I said, it's tough. I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna say Team Dignitas. Sadly, I really like the Club. I feel like they're a solid team. I hope I see them next go around, but I'm saying Dignitas. I'm saying 4-1. Thinking 4-2, but yeah, I'll go 4-1. 4-1.
4-1. Yeah, so this is truly a tough matchup. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go one way or the other. I've been on the Club since the beginning of the tournament saying how strong these South American teams are, how mechanical, speedy, flashy they are. And I think it's going to be a very fun matchup. It's all going to come down to what Dignitas we get, though. When Dignitas are on and playing as a team and playing really well, they're one of the best teams in the world, bar none, not even close. When they're off, they're off. They're not good. I'm just saying. I'm gonna be blunt. I'm gonna say it blunt. All right, they're not good. When they're off, when they're not feeling it, when they're not playing as a team, they're not a top 16 bubble team. I would even say. Obviously, not even qualifying for the spring major after having a bit of an off circuit. So, an off split, I should say. But Dignitas played Falcons really tough. And they've through Swiss, they only had really one bad match. The rest of them were pretty on point. So I think we're going to get a good Dignitas. I think the entire crew is looking on point, ready to do it. Scrubkilla looking like another animal right now, looking super on point, super in shape, ready to take it. I think Dignitas will take it, but I don't think it is a 4-1 series. I am going to say it is going to be a 4-2 series. So I will go ahead and plug that on in here. Dignitas 4-2 over the Club. You're saying 4-1, Marvel Man?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 4-1, but I'm also gonna add another point in here.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
it's crazy to say, but there is a lot of teams in this series that are just so flip-floppy, and they're so to the point of, well, if it's on a good day, this team could do this, but if it's on a bad day, this team is gonna do that. And I was sitting here thinking about Dignitas is one of those teams. FaZe Clan, I'm guessing, is one of those teams. By what we saw today, Optic Gaming, maybe. I mean, they went out and they played so good. Version 1, not to mention them. So, like, it is crazy how this bracket is full of these many teams that are just on a good day or on a bad day. You never know. And so I guess that's what makes it so tough for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely tough to pick. Rocket League can be that way, and sometimes it's even the matchup too. Some teams match up really well against some teams. Some teams don't match up well against other playstyles. It happens. So it's not a definite hierarchical order. There's definitely better and worse matchups, which is definitely what makes these tournament and these brackets so much fun. And speaking of fun, let's talk about our next lower round matchup. It's going to be Optic Gaming versus Carmine Corp, and this is a game that we saw during the Swiss bracket, and Carmine Corp actually ends up sweeping Optic by a score of 4-0. Marvel Man, do you think it's gonna be different this time around?
No, not at all. Carmine Corp, they just went up against Furia, and Furia kind of, gave them a little something to scare them, but that doesn't mean that they're a bad team. Optic Gaming, they're not the best. K Corp is definitely a little bit better than them. By a little bit, I mean a lot of it. So I definitely think that K Corp is going to go in there. They're going to get them. Are they going to sweep them, though, is the question. We're doing it again. A repeat from the
Run
Swiss.
it back.
And sweeping. I'm saying they're sweeping. They played them once. They can do it again.
Marvel Man is saying run it back 4-0. I'm going to say 4-1, but I definitely think Carmine Corp is just too on point, too on fleek. They had a tough matchup against Furia, but I still believe in the boys of Carmine Corp. I've been on that soapbox since the beginning of the tournament. I think Carmine Corp will get it done, will take it rather easily, 4-1, and that one is almost like a pity one, because they would have lost 8-1 at that point through 2 series. So I think Carmine Corp's going to win it. They're going to take it, and I'm going to say it's 4-1. Moving right along, though, our third matchup of the day, coming your way at 2 p.m. Eastern, is going to be SSG Space Station Gaming versus Team Endpoint. Marvel Man, what are your thoughts for this one?
As a Space Station fan, you gotta know it's a little scary going up against Endpoint. They're a solid team. They went against Sipper in round 1, and so Sipper kind of took it to them. A little scary, but Sipper also took it to Space Station in the Swiss. So they're about at the same, maybe criteria here. Not really too sure. Endpoint, though, I don't know if they can beat them, because Space Station is a solid team. Let's not throw that out. That's not me just saying as a fan. Like, they're a solid team when they want to be.
Absolutely.
Again, another one of those teams on a good day might have it. But it's this type of matchup that we just don't know. I'm going to say Space Station. You guys already know. I'm going to say 4-2, though. I think Endpoint is going to give them a little bit of a punch. I wouldn't be surprised if they did go to maybe a Game 7. Or if Endpoint just blew them out. Because, again, good day or bad day. But I think Space Station can handle them. I'm saying 4-2, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely on the Space Station bandwagon, but I'm going to say it's actually going to be 4-1, and I'm almost inclined to say 4-0. I was shocked that Endpoint got any games off of Semper. I was honestly astounded. I thought it was going to be a sweep. Semper was going to sweep Endpoint, but they actually ended up winning it in Game 7. I think that was a fluke. I think Semper was starting to feel a little bit ill. They were starting to cool off from their wildcard bracket run. I think they're kind of coming back down to earth where I thought they would be at the start of the tournament. And I think Endpoint is also not a very great team. I think Space Station is just on a different level. I think they're definitely going to take the series with relative ease, especially coming off Hungry losing to Moist in upper quarterfinals for this Group A matchup. So I think it will definitely be Space Station. I'm saying 4-1. But that leaves us with one more matchup to decide, and that is the Renegades versus the General NRG. Marvel Man, what are your thoughts on this one?
My thought is, if NRG loses this game, they are dead. That is confirmed. I'm sorry to say it. Renegades in my world is not a great team. Maybe they're like your endpoint or something like that, where you just don't think they're solid. I don't think endpoint's that bad. But for me, Renegades, they are just not. They're not it. And so, really, if NRG goes in there and they don't win, I'm officially saying NRG is dead. But I think NRG is going to take it. I'm saying 4-1 for NRG. I'm giving 1 to Renegades because, NRG is a little flip-floppy right now. They're still trying to find their style, as we talked about. I think it was yesterday or the day before. So I think NRG might give them 1 game, but then that's going to give them the oomph to be like, oh, we got to turn it up now. So hopefully they get the win there, 4-1.
Yeah, definitely. NRG, I think, is definitely going to rebound here. I don't think it's really any question, honestly. I'm trying to think, like, in my head of any reason to give, like, any excuse of, like, oh, maybe this, maybe... No, like, NRG should win this easily. And as we go ahead and go back to the highlights again real quick against version 1, every single game was a 1-goal game. And NRG just could not buy a goal. Again, top-tier defense, similar to the Falcons FaZe matchup, where version 1 just peaked on defense against NRG. And NRG, unlike Falcons, missed a couple shots that they probably shouldn't have, missed a few openings. But NRG has looked better than they have in months against version 1. That series, although it was a 4-0 sweep, anyone who watched the series would know it was not a 4-0. The scoreline says it's a 4-0. The difference in those two teams was not that big. I would almost argue NRG looked better as a team. They just didn't finish. The defensive version 1 was just too strong. But I think NRG, if they can finish and get some of those plays going and also clean up some defensive mishaps, they have a potential to really make a run, because I was surprised how good they looked. And I encourage you guys, if you're disagreeing with me right now, go back, watch the VOD, watch the replay, and you'll see NRG actually looks really, really good. Definitely some mishaps, some miscommunications, some missed shots, but they looked better than they have in months. And again, with this talent of this roster, all world champions on this roster, I believe they're the only roster that's entirely made up of world champions left in the competition. So, it's a tough matchup for anyone. And in the end, when the chips are down, the pressure's on, I trust the people who've been there before, done it. I think NRG's going to rebound, and I'm going to say they're going to 4-0 Renegades. They're going to make a statement. They're going to 4-0 Renegades. And
it's not ridiculous to say that.
I think it's expected. I think they should do that, and that should happen. That would mean for Saturday, our lower semifinal matchups would be version 1 versus Space Station, which, what a game that will be. You'll have Semper Esports versus the General NRG, Semper, of course, being in the COVID protocols, which will make that matchup really interesting. And the winner of those two matchups also does get a spot in the playoffs. And then on the B side, we'll have Team Falcons versus Carmine Corp, which that should be a fun one, and Furia Dignitas, which should be an absolutely mental matchup if Dignitas shows up and performs on the level that we know, and I know, and you people know that they should. But before we wrap up, I do want to just remind everyone of the rundown of events tomorrow. It is going to be the Club versus Dignitas at 12 p.m. Eastern, followed by Optic Gaming versus Carmine Corp at 1 p.m. Eastern, SSG versus Endpoint at 2 p.m. Eastern, and Renegades versus the General NRG at 3 p.m. Eastern. And these are win or go home matchups. The loser of these matches will be going out of the tournament and going home empty-handed. The winner will have a date in the lower semifinals on Saturday to hopefully qualify for a playoff spot that will take place on Sunday. But any closing thoughts, Marvel Man?
Yeah, tomorrow should be really great. Day of Rocket League. Go out there, watch who gets eliminated. That's going to be the fun part, you know. These people are on the end of the line, trying to fight for their lives, just trying to get a win, so then they can stay in this bracket. Because that prize money is kind of looking kind of nice. I wish I could do it. So I know these people really want to get the win. So yeah, go out there, watch some Rocket League, get your drops, and we'll be back here tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We hope you guys enjoyed the podcast tonight. And as always, if you're interested in calling in or sharing your thoughts, be sure to join the Discord down below, linked in the description down below. Join the server, let us know your thoughts, and even call into the show if we like your ideas or we're interested to hear your thoughts. But as always, for tonight, that's going to be wrapping it up for us tonight. I have been Vexum, you guys have been awesome, and on behalf of Marvel Man and myself, this is Vexum and Marvel Man in the Bar Down Podcast, signing out. Catch you later.